For the past 30 years, I've been based in Asia and photographing really all around the region with a focus on vanishing cultures and vanishing traditions, which is something that I feel very strongly about. For this particular project, I started photographing around 6 or 7 years ago. I think what makes Bangkok different, it has the most extraordinary energy about it. I think it has the most incredible diversity as well. So you have different types of architecture. You have the European style. You have architecture that was adopted from the Khmers, from the Chinese, and then you have these old community, this community feel about the place. So, and then I throw in that the other thing is you don't have the planning in Bangkok that you have in so many other cities. So sometimes it feels like someone has just dropped all the buildings from the sky and they've landed everywhere. But that's what makes it so unique, so different, and so very special to my mind.
Some people perceive Bangkok as a world-famous city for its Buddhist temple, vibrant nightlife, street food, floating markets, and much more. So, what do you think about it?
Well, that's no doubt what Bangkok is famous for, and justifiably so. But I think that Bangkok offers so much more than that. What I tried to do on this project was to go behind that sort of narrative of city of temples and markets, and I wanted to show some of the magic and charm of the old city, the old faded buildings, the vibrancy of Chinatown, and these old communities, some of which have barely changed in 100 years. These communities living on the banks of canals. So I wanted to peel back a layer and show that actually, no, Bangkok is that, but it is a lot more than that. But we risk losing it if we have too much modern urban development.
And as a photographer, is there anything that you see from Bangkok that others might not see it?
Well, I think as photographers, we have slightly different antennae. So wherever I go, I'm always looking out for something that's a little bit different, a little bit unique. So for this project, I was always looking for the tumble down mansions that are just next to condominiums, or the old wooden houses that haven't changed in generations. But the other thing I see in the city wherever I go is cables and wires hanging down from the markets, the alleyways. But as a photographer, I rather like them. I've learnt to love them. They remind me of this sort of huge spider's web ensnaring the city. So I think they're one of the great hallmarks of Bangkok, and I think one day they'll be gone, and who knows, maybe we'll miss them. It makes Bangkok absolutely unique.
Do you use photography to express your thoughts about Bangkok?
Very much so. When I started on this project 5-6 years ago, I really wanted to show the old style of the city, which is vanishing so rapidly. And I want to open people's eyes to some of this old heritage, not just the grand palaces and the temples, but this slightly alternate side of Bangkok, the small communities on canals, the old trading houses, the people who've been there for generations and who've basically been artists or artisans. So that's the side of the city that I really went out of my way to try and show. And I want to open people's eyes to this side of the city because it's going so fast, and unless people become more aware of it, 10 years from now, it totally will have disappeared.
So why do you decide to take a photograph in black and white?
Well, I find black and white a very powerful medium. It's it's very evocative and it's very nostalgic. So it really suited the subject matter of these old communities and these old buildings that I wanted to photograph. And I think black and white also gives a sense of loss. It gives a sense of something which is going or has gone. So it just much more suitable to the subject matter than if I'd shot in color.
So how did you make your photograph look black and white?
I shoot with an old Linhof 4x5 large format camera. So I use these large 4x5-inch negative, black and white negatives. It's a very slow and precise process. So it's the extreme of digital photography. Just to take an image, it can take me 15 minutes to set up the tripod. I have to load the film up in a special tent before I go out there. So it's a very precise, very slow, and as I say, I made a decision to shoot this in black and white right at the beginning of the project.